Hello, everybody. Jack Olmsted. I'm coming to you from Santa Rosa, California, and I'm going to be speaking with Julie Zahn. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, Zahn. It's German.
Zahn. It's German. And you're married to Jonas Zahn.
Yes.
And I understand he is an idea guy.
He is an idea guy. I have to rein him in often and his ideas.
So does he keep you on your toes?
Yes, I suppose so. You might say that I keep him on his toes too.
Oh, really?
Sure.
So,
yeah, we seem to complement each other well. He's an idea guy, and I'm more of the type of realist, trying to make sure that the ideas are actually workable, manageable.
So he got this idea of building his grandfather's coffin 2004. It was, I guess, the winter of 2004. What did you think about his idea at that time?
At that
Were
point,
you okay?
I thought it was a great idea, and I was not too involved in the actual construction myself because I had a 9 to 11-month-old baby, so I was taking care of her. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. Lily was 1 or 2. Oh, I guess she was about 1. So anyway, I was primarily a homemaker at the time. So I was not that involved, and I thought it was just going to be a one-of-a-kind one thing, just make a casket and be done with it. And then he got this idea to make that kind of experience available to other people who wanted to do something similar but didn't have the kind of construction knowledge that he does. He is he's an engineer with he's a civil engineer with a construction management background. So building things just comes naturally to him, and he understands how to put things together. So he used that background then to design a kit, a casket kit that can be put together in 2 to 3 hours, preferably with 2 people to help. And that's what we started retailing, was a kit. And we also started selling that kit assembled as well to families and funeral homes. And that was in 2000 and we didn't really start retailing until maybe 2008 or 2009. I'd have to look somewhere around in there. So it took a couple of years for the whole thing to come together.
2009. So the casket kit was your very first product?
The casket kit, I believe, yes, it was our very first product. I think so.
And that's how I found you, because
yes.
My mother was in dire need of a casket. And I searched online and found you guys. And I guess your husband knows how to optimize search engines because he's been functioning in the IT industry for 20 plus years. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, and he has. He's very good at that.
And he knows Java, and he created your website. So he is a master of a lot of things, a lot of trades.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, yes, he's done all of our website work for the most part. We do use a Squarespace site now, which has made that a lot easier so that I can have a larger role in maintaining our website as well. But when it was just a Java and HTML site, that was all him. So
that's where you got your start.
Yes. Well,
so you've grown from kits, and now you are actually making a variety of caskets.
Yes, we have caskets everywhere. We have between 30 and 40 models in many different colors and many different species. Because we are lucky enough to live in a state that is very rich in wood species, everything from walnuts to oak to pine, aspen, cherry, maple, etc. We can source everything from Wisconsin, which is what we're very proud of. And so we make caskets that are from all over the state in different species and different types of caskets, whether you want something that's colored, painted, or natural wood, in a wide variety of price points.
from $500 to $5,000.
Yes, yes. And we do custom work occasionally as well. We are in the midst of building a custom casket right now, which will probably retail for somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000 for one person.
Oh, okay. That's more expensive than probably the couple bought their dining room set for.
It might be, yes. To some people, it's very important to have a significant casket, which I guess you can define different ways.
It can be defined in a number of different ways. Now, your husband is noted as saying that Northwoods Casket Company is a tree planting business that happens to build caskets.
Yes, so he is very passionate about tree planting. That's been a part of our mission since we first started. He's always enjoyed planting trees. He actually wanted to turn his father's farm into a walnut nursery for walnut trees. That was one of the ideas I put an end to.
Walnut nursery. What does that mean? You take little tiny walnut trees and they like a
grow them. Yes.
Preschool type of thing. No.
He wanted to plant walnut trees and then take care of them and then harvest them. And because walnut is worth a lot of money. It's a high dollar wood. However,
it's wood, not just the walnuts that we eat. It's
right. No, we wouldn't. We might harvest the walnuts, but it was to grow the wood. But that would take 40 to 60 years to be able to harvest.
40 to 60 years.
Yes.
And he had this idea when he was like in his 30s.
Yes, I need a sooner ROI than that.
Right, I guess so. So you nixed that idea.
I nixed that idea.
Good for you. So it also I found that you say that the Northwood Caskets makes the world a better place. How is the world a better place because of Northwoods Casket today?
Oh, I don't remember saying that, but I guess if I did, I was probably speaking in the context of I would imagine just making people feel more connected to their local community in terms of, everyone who works here lives here locally. Almost everyone can walk here from home, and they take a lot of pride in what they do. And the families that choose us, we had one in here today picking out a casket for a very unexpected death. It was really important to them that they use one of our caskets and that the trees get planted in Wisconsin. And they felt, when they left, they felt very good about their decision. And normally, I think in going to pick out a casket at a funeral home, you wouldn't ever imagine that you would leave feeling really good about your decision and that you did something good for your state. So in that way, I think it makes things a little better, especially now in this tumultuous political time we have going on.
Can you talk about Plant It Forward?
Sure. So that was one of my husband's ideas that I did go for. I did agree with. We know that a lot of funeral homes do pre-planning with their families. So they will meet with a family. It can be anywhere from a month when someone's in hospice to 20 years before someone passes away. But when people go make their arrangements in an attempt to prevent their family from having to guess what they'd want, we know that a lot of funeral homes were doing pre-needs. They're called pre-needs with families for our caskets. But we had no idea how many. And we wanted to have some idea, especially when the company was young, of how many there were. Were they choosing pine caskets, oak caskets, what kinds of caskets? And we just wanted to have some idea to help us in our planning and moving forward of whether or not we were building the right things and planning for the right things. And so that was one of our attempts, was to do that. That was one of the reasons. But we also, we wanted to use it to encourage people to choose our caskets and to make a statement to their funeral director that choosing ours was important to them for the reason that they could use a local company, but they could also plant 100 trees then, as opposed to 10, 20 years down the road when they would actually need it.
How many trees have been planted to date?
Oh, my husband knows the answer to that, but I don't know the top of my head. I know.
The last figure that I saw was 30,000 trees.
Yes, I was going to guess anywhere from 30 to 40, somewhere in that window. Now our goal is to get to 10 million.
To 10 million. Because you want to leave the planet a better place for the next generation. That's why you're really focused on the 10 million number.
Yes. Yes, we'd like to. 10 million trees is what we'd like to plant primarily in Wisconsin.
And that is because you want to leave the planet carbon negative, not carbon neutral, carbon positive like most companies, but carbon negative. Can you talk about sustainability, eco-friendly?
Well, I mean, the whole idea is
that your passion?
Yeah, I would. That's a big part of what we do. That's a big part of our mission. We want to give back more to our planet and our community than we take. So that is a big part of what we're trying to do in planting trees. And then also in everything that we do in our workshop, we don't even have a dumpster here at our workshop because we don't generate enough garbage to need one. We recycle. No dumpster? No dumpster. Yeah, we produce very little garbage. It fits in a little canister that is used for residents. And
I see you've got a fireplace behind you. Do you burn the scrapped wood?
No, that's just decoration. That was here when we bought the building.
So when you say you bought the building, you're talking to me from your showcase building, your
gallery.
Funeral gallery.
Yes.
You call it a funeral gallery?
We call it a casket gallery.
Casket gallery.
Yes, because what we have here is, and I should have put you on my laptop so I could have carried you around, but we have about 20 caskets on display of all different models so that when a family comes in like they did today, they can see what we have to offer, everything from the simple pine box all the way up to our $5,000 walnut casket and everything in between. And get an idea of what they want, whether it's for an at-need situation or pre-planning. And then downstairs in the basement, this entire facility is about 10,000 square feet. In the basement, we have our workshop. So we bring in our shells from our builders. We have 5 builders across Wisconsin and all corners of the state. We bring the raw shells in here. They get taken down into the basement. They get finished with whatever finish they're getting. And then they come over to the upholstery side and they get lined with our natural cotton liner. And then they come back up and go back out in back of our building to our warehouse, which holds between 200 and 300 caskets depending on the month.
Oh, really? There are peak months when caskets are in high demand?
Well, every year we try to do a clearance sale where we clean up the warehouse from caskets that were maybe prototypes or models that just didn't sell that we discontinued. Oh. And so when we get to the point where we're just before that sale, we will be packed full. But then after the sale, we'll be a lot trimmer.
Is that what you call it, a fire sale?
In most cases, we wouldn't call it a fire sale. No, we try not to sell anything for less than cost. So.
Oh. So you have your workshop in your basement. What about ventilation?
That's a good question. We do have ventilation down there, but technically we don't need it. Everything that we do, all the finishes we apply are 100% VOC free. So they do not generate noxious fumes. We don't need to ventilate. We simply do usually just to make the caskets dry faster, the finishes dry faster, because some of the finishes that we apply are oil-based, natural oil-based, and they require 2 to 3 weeks of dry time. And so the more that we can move the air around, the faster they'll dry and we can get them out into the warehouse.
Do you have your current catalog close by? I understand that you do the catalog, you do all the pictures because you are
I do,
a
actually.
photographer.
I am. This is our catalog. I'm not sure how it's going to appear in here, but this is what our funeral homes offer or show to families. This is just for the funeral homes that insist on using something tangible like this. Many funeral homes, especially in this day and age, use our website, and that is our most current catalog. And a lot of them have what's called digital showrooms now, so everything they do is shown on a big screen. But some of them still like to have something like this available, and it's just simply a binder showing some of our different, actually it shows all of our different models. It's incredibly difficult to keep this up to date. It's very expensive. But this is what we use, and a lot of funeral homes, especially the ones who are still operating with paper, and showing paper to everyone who comes in, this is what they use. So this is our catalog. It's about 30 pages or so. Everything from colored caskets, they're black and green and blue, all the way down to our old world models and some of our completely zero metal models. So there's a wide variety of things in here, and we have it categorized so that it's easy. Hopefully the shopping experience is easy for a family and funeral director.
Your background isn't in the death and dying business or a casket building business. You come from an educational background. You were a middle school teacher. Did you think in your wildest dreams, say 15 years ago, that you'd be sitting here talking about oak caskets and casket kits and pine and all the things all the trimmings that go along with it?
No, I was a teacher for 4 years and I really liked it, but I was ready to make a little change, and then I ended up marrying Jonas, and we had our children, and so I stayed home, and even as of 12 years ago, I don't know that I would have believed anyone who had told me that I would end up running this company. So it was a big surprise, but I do really like it. And what I like the most about it is not only the fact that I really believe in what we're doing and what our company stands for, but also I really like the people that work for me. I have a wonderful team, and we're very much a family, and we take care of each other. And I really enjoy coming to work every day to see them.
I hear you eat together on Tuesdays.
We do. We had lunch together yesterday. Every Tuesday we buy lunch for the team, and we sit and we visit. We try not to talk about company business. We try to talk about everything else, family and life, and they really enjoy that.
So you're a mother of two. Your kids, they grew up surrounded with caskets.
Yes, they did.
Did they ever play hide and seek in caskets or go to sleep in the caskets? Oh, they have.
Well, when we first started the company, we didn't have this building. We were actually working out of my carriage house, which is also known as my garage at my house. And my garage is where they would be built. And then we would bring them into my dining room in my house, where I would work on lining them. And I didn't know how to sew. I didn't know anything about working with fabric. So I had to start from scratch to figure out how to just make a simple liner for a casket. And so they were in my dining room, no dining room table, just 2 or 3 caskets, and my kids would play in them. And it was perfectly natural. So yeah.
So now they're teenagers. Do they do anything special for Halloween? Halloween's coming up. Are they like very popular with the kids at school? I want to borrow caskets for the party, or?
My girls are a little shy, so they haven't asked that yet. But maybe when they're a little older, they might consider asking if maybe they could use one of the old discontinued models we have taking up space in the warehouse, do something fun with it for Halloween. I can see where that might be coming.
I see. Okay. So my brothers and I purchased your casket kit because of a lot of reasons. One of the big reasons was the cost. We didn't have a big budget, and it fit our budget. And so I have some questions on building the casket kit. Do you want me to show you the screen of the instructions and we can possibly go through it for a little bit? Or
Sure,
do you
if you
want
want
to? Sure. Well, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, so that I could get an idea of what we're getting into, because it's going to arrive on Monday, and the funeral is going to be on a Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So we need to get this thing built and over to the mortuary ASAP.
Now, I wanted to know, are you planning to leave this with the screws in, or are you planning to take the screws out and have a completely metal-free casket?
Well, when we were going to have a green burial, it was going to be remove the screws, but now we aren't going to do a green burial, or she is not going to go into a green burial site. So I don't know. It depends on what my brothers decide to do.
Okay.
I don't mind leaving the screws in or taking them out.
Okay.
But
I was just curious.
We have that option, correct?
You have the option, yes. The strength of the casket, it won't change at all so long as you follow the directions and use glue where you need to, and you give it at least, it says 20 minutes. I would do 24 hours just to be safe, to allow the glue to set before you draw the screws back out.
Oh, okay. 24 hours to set the screws. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. So we're looking at your website that has the instructions.
Yes.
On how to build the kit. And so I was interested in the ribs. So you get these ribs. Are there indentations in the tongue and groove where the ribs go?
Yes. So there are dados. That's what those are called, the grooves that are pre-cut into the sides and the lid. And you'll see that it's very obvious where those should go, where the dados are. That's where the ribs go.
I see. I just highlighted dado. I was wondering what a dado meant, and it's right here. It's the groove.
Right.
In the wood.
You can see from the photo where the glue is actually, if you look at that photo right next to it, you can see that it's actually imprinted there with a dado.
Okay, so that's where the dado is. And you were telling me that some people glue the tongue and groove, but that isn't what the glue is for. It's to glue the dados or the ribs to the tongue and groove sections.
Right. So people who aren't familiar with wood and tongue and groove and the purpose of it may think when they first pick up the sides, because the sides are they're together, but they're floating. And if you pulled them apart, they would fall apart. The boards would just come apart from each other. The tongue and groove would come apart. However, that's the way that you want them to be. You want that tongue and groove to be free floating in there, so that when there are temperature and humidity changes, either up or down, that those boards have room to move and to adjust accordingly to those temperature and humidity changes. If you glued the tongue and groove together, as soon as the humidity or temperature changed, the whole box, you would have cracks. It would break in numerous places, depending on where it expanded first.
Okay. So here we got pictures of drilling the screws into the dado. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, and those are the screws you would drill in and then you would remove after 24 hours.
After 24 hours, and we've got a layer of glue between the tongue and groove and the rib.
Yes.
Right? I guess
Yes.
the dado is the groove, and the piece of wood is called the rib.
That's right.
Ribs. Okay. So this picture right down here with the putty knife, that's something that I was wondering if you could elaborate on a little bit.
Sure.
How do you get the gaps exactly right between all the boards?
Well, so the point of using the putty knife is to gap the boards enough so that you have a total of 26 inches on the sides. So if you go back up a little bit to the picture directly above where you are, see where you can see he's measuring out to 26 inches.
Correct.
And so now if you go back down, you can see the tongue and groove has play in it. So you can squeeze them apart a little bit, and that's what he's doing with the putty knife. So what you want to do is just squeeze them apart. You try to squeeze every gap between the tongue and grooves relatively evenly, so that you end up with 26 inches overall, and you don't have one with a whole, a quarter inch, as opposed to another one that's tight. You want to try to expand them evenly throughout, and it's actually very simple to do. Once you start, you'll see, move this one, then you move that one, and then once you've got it set, that's when you put your dado in.
That's when you put the rib on the dado.
Or that's where you put the rib in. Yes, in the dado.
Rib on the, well, that's when you put the glue down in the dado, and then the rib on top of the dado, and that's when you set your screws.
Exactly. And I would recommend, one thing that may not be in these instructions, but that works pretty well, is I do the outer two, so that the screws on the far ends first, the far end boards. And then you put those in, and then recheck your length, the width overall, and then do the ones in the middle.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to end up with a square.
You're right. You're trying to end up with 26 inches.
26 inches on both sides.
Exactly. Because you're going to put all these panels together to make a box. And if they're not all 26 inches, you can imagine what's going to happen. You're going to have this funny lip at the top that isn't going to match, and your lid isn't going to sit correctly on top.
Okay. So here are pictures that just kind of talk about what you just explained, right?
Yes.
Where they're adjusting the space between the tongue and groove boards.
Yes.
To 26 inches. This one here is probably the top, right?
Well, this is the floor.
This is the floor.
Yep. If you look at the caption underneath that one, it says 24.5 inches is the floor.
Oh, setting the gaps in the floor panel. I see. And this is the underside of the floor. Is that right?
Yes, this is the underside that you would see if you looked under the casket after it's constructed.
Right, the outside.
The outside.
And so these are the panels that you then would put together.
Right.
Now, do you have to let the wood or let the glue set for 24 hours before you put the box together, or can you do that as soon as you are at this point?
You can do that as soon as you're at this point, because the screws are going to keep everything in place, so nothing's going to move on you. Okay,
but the screw, you suggest that the screws should stay in there about 24 hours to make it stronger?
That's right, yes, about 24 hours. What we recommend doing, and this is how we do it, is we put all these panels together, just like you see here, and then we put the whole box together, and then we let the box sit for 24 hours, and then we just go in and back the screws out, and then we're done.
I see.
And one thing I should mention, and I don't know if it's in these instructions, but there is, for people who want to sand this casket, and it is sanded already to, I think, 120 grit. But if for someone who wanted to sand it smoother, whether maybe they were going to finish it or they just wanted to have it be really soft to the touch, I recommend doing the sanding at the point in which you see this picture right now, because it's so much easier to sand a flat panel than it is to sand a box when it's put together.
Okay. Good to know. So here, this is the box getting built.
Yes.
And this is, what do we have here? End panel and the side panel.
Right. So the way that we recommend you build it is you lay down a side panel flat on the table, and then you attach one end panel, so it'll be sticking straight up towards the ceiling, and then you attach the other end panel, again sticking up towards the ceiling, and then you turn the whole box 90 degrees so that the sides and the ends are sitting up, the one side and the two ends. So just like this. Yep,
like
just
like
that.
Here? Okay.
Right. Now, he didn't put the other end on yet. We actually put both ends on right away.
Okay.
And then once you turn it up like this, then you can put the last side on. And that seems to be the easiest way to do it.
Now, what's with the mallet?
The mallet is just simply, it's just a convenient tool. A mallet is different from a hammer because you're not going to split a board.
Right.
A mallet. If you happen to have one, we recommend using it because it is convenient. It just helps tap things into place a little bit if you needed to. So you're putting those panels together and you have to tap them into the dados that are the grooves that are at the bottom of each one. There's a groove where these panels fit together. So sometimes they get a little tight and you just need to tap them in a little bit.
And so in this picture, they're putting the floor on.
Yes, that is the floor.
Here we got a side, we have an end piece, but what you're saying is you typically would put both end pieces on before you put the floor on?
Well, now you have me wondering. I'm trying to remember. Yes, I believe so.
Because I would think you would put one side on, one end piece, and then put the floor on, and then put the end piece on. Because here he's tapping. If there
right.
were two end pieces on, then he couldn't tap.
You're right. That is the way that we do it. I was just thinking of how you put one side on and then you put an end on, so it's sticking straight up. That you're right. That is the way you see it here. Is how we do it. Okay. And then you turn, and then you would put the last side on as the last piece.
Put the end piece on and then the side.
Exactly. Right.
Yes. Okay. Just trying.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Well, that's why I'm going through this.
The important thing to note is that you start, and it might be counterintuitive. You start with the side flat on the table, not the bottom.
Flat on the table. Right. Flat on the table with the end piece sticking up. Then you add the floor, and then the end piece, and then the side piece.
Yes.
Then you got the box.
Right. Then you've got your box.
And let's see, what do we? So here, this is the second side piece going on.
Yes, the second end piece.
An end piece.
Yes. To
the floor, and here he's tapping it in.
He's just tapping it to get it into place.
To get into place. Mm-hmm. And then this is how you put, what is this?
That's the bottom.
This is the bottom.
Yes, those are pocket screw holes where you put the pocket screws in, and those pocket screws are what holds the floor in place.
And are these holes pre-drilled?
Yes, they are pre-drilled.
Okay. So
every hole is pre-drilled for you.
Every hole is pre-drilled. All right. And then this here is showing putting on the lid. No, this is
the side.
The side, the final side.
Right.
And there we have, and he's putting it in.
The last rib in the corner.
The last rib in the corner.
Yes.
Okay, and then you put in the ropes.
Yes.
And there it is.
Yep, and then you set the lid on.
You set the lid on. So how does the lid attach?
So the lid does not attach with any hardware. What we recommend is if you're going to lower this casket into, let's say, a grave liner or a vault, or even into a natural burial site, and you want to ensure that you don't get 6 inches from the bottom and have the lid catch on something and then all of a sudden it's open, we include nails, a handful of nails, and they're just little finished nails, and you can go ahead and just close the box with the nails, and that way it will not open.
Right. So we were thinking about a green burial, and the cemetery said no nails, no screws.
Right.
So I guess what you would do is glue the lid on, and then put screws in there, or nails, or probably screws, and then back the screws out.
Well, you could do that, but I don't know if I would recommend that. That would require some wait time.
Right. That's true. You got the body in there, and it's like, we got to wait 24 hours before we
Yeah,
bury.
you're not going to want to do that.
because the glue has to set.
The glue, yes. In that case, if that were something that someone was really concerned about, I would use some cotton strapping or rope to basically tie the lid on so that it will not pop off.
How about dowels? Would dowels work?
Dowels would be fine, sure. You'd have to
just
drill.
Drill in the holes, and then put dowels in there, probably put glue around it.
Yep, exactly. You could easily do that.
And then put in the dowels, and then it wouldn't pop off. It wouldn't pop off very easily.
Right, and that's actually what we use on some of our other casket models, our dowels. We have a priest casket, for example, that we make that has a lift-off single-piece lid. It's very unusual for a priest, and
so the priest
made using dowels.
So the priests have their own caskets?
Well, the priest casket in funeral service is traditionally called a priest casket because it allows because priest funerals tend to be so large, that it allows for a viewing at the same time from both sides. So you can have twice as many people come through and attend a visitation as you could if you were limited to using one side of the casket. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, perfectly. But I just never thought of it.
Yeah.
I guess you think of all kinds of things that people don't.
We do.
Wouldn't in their wildest dreams think about.
Right. Because why would you?
Yeah. Why would we think about the priest has so many people visiting them that they would have to be viewed on both sides? Okay. Is there anything? Okay. So this makes sense to me now. And I am looking forward to building your casket, and we're going to make a little video showing how we put it together.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. I have never seen someone put it together who was not in our company, who helped design it or has been involved in making many of them. So I'm really curious to see how things go for you guys.
So are we. My one brother says, I don't want to do it. The other one says, I'll help you. And I'm saying, I'm building the casket. I'm the casket builder. I'm going to do it.
Well, I can tell you that a lot of people purchase this casket not only because of cost, but for example, we had a family last week or 2 weeks ago from the Kansas City area who purchased one of our casket kits, and they spent twice as much shipping it there overnight as they did on the casket kit itself, because money was not an issue. What they wanted was the experience of putting a casket together as a family, but they didn't have anyone that felt confident designing it, and they didn't want to worry about it falling apart. So they wanted our simple pine box, and they wanted to put it together themselves, and that's why they ordered it. And money, like I said, was not an issue at all. It was all about the experience.
Now, do you get that question a lot? Will it fall apart?
No, and I think it's because we have that video on our website.
Oh, with the bricks that going in and showing
Yes.
that it will maintain 1,400 plus pounds.
Yeah, we never got it to break.
Never got it to break. Well,
we ran out of bricks.
Ran out of bricks. Were you interested in showing us around your website, or do you still have time? I know we were going to talk for about 20 minutes. We're over that allotment of time. I know you're really busy. You're like, vice president of operations for this very successful company, and you wear lots and lots of hats, and you have a very chaotic day. And you
Yes.
got to prioritize. You got to prioritize. And I know that we were on your schedule for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's fine. So far, none of my employees have come in with none of the wheels have come off something, or there's no major problem.
You got caskets on wheels?
No.
No.
So I could give a quick tour of our website if you'd like, as to kind of to close things up.
Sure. Yeah. Or
Okay.
anything that you think that you would like to talk about that we haven't already covered.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me go into a screen share then to get to our, let's see. Right.
Yeah, I think we covered all the things I had on my little list.
Okay. Okay, so I am screen sharing now. So can you see my website?
Oh, I see myself on your screen.
Okay, you don't see my website yet?
And I'm frozen.
Uh-oh. Okay, we may have, according to Google Hangouts, we are currently sharing my screen. But I wonder if there is issue.
We did a test yesterday, and you did a great job.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me try it again. So let me see here.
So
otherwise,
it's
it's not the end of the world. Our website is relatively easy to navigate through. So now you can see me again? I
can see you again, yes.
Okay, so now let me try again. And okay. All right, how's this? Website?
Oh, I see your website, yes.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so this is the website.
Sustainability starts with you.
Yes, right. And our website is uses a lot of my photography. This picture in particular is one from, we lived in Alaska for a brief time, and we took 19 days to drive back, and we hit about 10 national parks, and this was in Canada, in British Columbia. And this was my two little girls, and it's just one of my favorite pictures. So, but there's information about our company if you wanted to read more about us. This is my husband here that I'm circling, and this is my father-in-law, who is very much involved in our company and has been since the very beginning. We couldn't have done this without him. And then this is my husband over here planting trees in the city of Beaver Dam, which he loves to do every spring. And the gentleman with him here is the director of our parks in Beaver Dam, who is a good friend of ours, John Newman, and he is a big fan of ours as well. So every year we work with John to figure out where to plant trees in and around Beaver Dam, and for the most part we end up planting them in the tree nursery. We have a really nice city tree nursery. So up here on the very top right-hand side of the screen is where you could go and see all of our caskets. This is our entire catalog here, and it's broken down by category depending on what you might be interested in. If you were Orthodox, for example, and you wanted to know what we have that is metal-free, that would qualify for an Orthodox funeral, there you go. Or if you were looking for something that was under $2,000, oh, there's nothing in that one. Let me look at that one again. But, or zero metal is another one that for natural burial. And then an interesting category, a lot of people might not necessarily even know what it is, depending on where they live in the country, is the American Hmong caskets. And those have very specific requirements. The American Hmong community requires that you have no metal, and it also has to be fully lined, like it is here. So both sides of the casket are lined. And there has to be lots of space, so there's very minimal cushions, because they like to send a lot of things into the afterlife. They believe that you live in this box for eternity. So, so it's very important to them that it be very just right, just specific, and completely metal-free. So there's a lot of different caskets that we make, and we've tried to satisfy lots of different tastes. All of them are wood, and all of them are made from Wisconsin woods. One thing that we do with caskets that helps people, if they wanted to make a casket a little bit more personal and personalize it, For example, you can see here, this is called a casket accessory set. We do sell these to families, and you can see, I'll show you how it's used. It's 3 parts, and they could sit on any casket. It doesn't have to be ours. And you can buy it and you can use it to add color, to add interest, whether you're into religion. Oh, these are cat panels, but whether you're into sports, or if you are a bird lover and you chose our Audubon accessory set, there's lots of different options for people. So that's one thing that's really unique about what we do. And then, of course, we make urns. So, and these again are all made from Wisconsin woods, and they vary, with one exception, actually. This urn up here is our reclaimed wine and whiskey barrel. This is not made from wood from Wisconsin. The top and the bottom is, but the sides are made from reclaimed whiskey and wine barrels that have been cut and then glued up into panels like this. And they're one of our best sellers. People really like these because they're very different, they're very colorful, and they have a great story, and people love that. So I sold one of them today out of our gallery to a family that came in, and as soon as they saw it, they knew that's what they wanted. So they didn't even look at anything else. So yeah, so that's our website in a nutshell. There's a lot to offer, and there's a lot to look at. And as you found out, there's also news, which I totally forgot.
That's right. Lots of news.
There is a lot of news, and this is probably what I was thinking of when I thought my husband was actually keeping up with things. I didn't realize his blog was so far behind and outdated, but the news is not, so that's good. We've had politicians. One thing we didn't include in here that's on our Facebook page is we just recently sold 2 caskets to Kevin Costner's. He's making a TV show for Netflix that's going to come out next year called Yellowstone, and they purchased 2 of our caskets that are going to be, and they were going to 2 different locations for filming, so we were flattered that they found us and enjoyed that. So yeah.
Are you going to get credit? Are you going to be in the credits?
I don't know. It wasn't something we asked for. They paid full retail price, so it wasn't something we necessarily needed to get credit for, but if they do, great. One last thing I'll mention that I didn't mention before, which is kind of important, is we also sell casket parts, and we sell a lot of these to people. So people who are do-it-yourselfers at home, who are building a casket from scratch themselves, we sell the hardware that they would need, all these different parts, the hinges, the latches, here are the latches, and then the lid lifters, and all these parts you would need in order to put together a casket. And they can be hard to find, so we sell these. We also sell some of the different swing bar hardware. So if you built a casket and you wanted to have a swing bar handle like this one, which is different than a solid mount handle. This one's actually much easier to make because it's just 1 1/4 inch dowel with these brackets. Then you could go ahead and do this. So it makes it much simpler for a do-it-yourselfer at home who maybe has a lot of woodworking experience, but not necessarily any knowledge of how casket hardware would work or where to find it. So yeah, so there you go. There's our website.
Okay.
Quick
and that's Northwoods Casket Company.
Yes, Northwoods Casket Company.
Today, and you are in Wisconsin, Beaver Creek?
Beaver Dam.
Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yes. We are about, we're in the southeastern part of the state, about halfway between Madison and Green Bay.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I think this has been a very comprehensive interview, and I'm flattered that you wanted to do it.
Well, thanks so much for what you do, because without you, we would have been spending a lot more money with the funeral arrangements of my mother.
Well, so, I hope it all goes well.
I hope so too.
And I'm anxious to see the video you do next of your construction.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Julie. Stay with me. I'm just going to shut this down, and we can talk offline for a minute.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.